Dr. Alina Vasquez was having her morning coffee when the universe changed forever. She sat in her small lab aboard the research ship Horizon, watching the stars through the viewport. The coffee was terrible as always, but it was warm and familiar. That comfort wouldn't last long. The first sign something was wrong came from the communications room. People were screaming, not the kind of screaming you hear in movies, but real terror. The kind that makes your blood freeze. Alina put down her coffee cup and walked toward the noise. Captain Rodriguez was on the floor, shaking. His face was pale and covered in sweat. The radio operator, a young man named Tommy, was crying and pointing at his headset like it was on fire. Lena had never seen grown adults act like this before. "What's happening?" she asked, but nobody could answer. They were all too busy being afraid. Lena picked up the headset that Tommy had thrown away. She put it on and listened. At first, she heard nothing but static. Then, slowly, something else came through. It wasn't words exactly, but she could understand it anyway. It was like the voice was speaking directly to her thoughts. The voice belonged to something that called itself Zixthera. It spoke of worlds, covered in crystal, of cities that grew like plants, of creatures that lived in perfect harmony under her rule. But there was something else in the message, something that was supposed to make Alina afraid. The strange thing was, Alina didn't feel afraid at all. She felt curious. While Alina listened to the alien message, something incredible was happening across the galaxy. On Earth, people were having the same nightmare. They dreamed of a huge creature with many eyes, sitting on a throne made of living metal. Dream, the creature spoke to them about joining her empire or facing destruction. On Mars, the entire military base went into lockdown. Soldiers who had fought in 3 wars were hiding in their bunkers, too scared to come out. The base commander, a woman who had never shown fear in her life, couldn't stop her hands from shaking long enough to send a message to Earth. Even on the peaceful farming world of New Eden, where nothing exciting ever happened, people were locking their doors and looking at the sky with terror. Children refused to go to school. Adults couldn't focus on their work. The fear was everywhere, touching everyone except Alina. She took off the headset and looked around the communications room. Captain Rodriguez was still on the floor, now curled up like a child. Tommy was rocking back and forth, muttering something about crystal cities and endless darkness. "This is fascinating," Alina said to herself. She was a scientist who studied alien life forms, though she had never actually met a real alien before. This was the chance of a lifetime. Alina had always been different from other people. When she was a child, other kids found her strange. She didn't get scared by horror movies. She didn't jump at loud noises. Her parents took her to doctors who said she had a rare condition that affected how her brain processed fear. They said it like it was a bad thing, but Alina never minded. Being different had made her a better scientist. Now, for the first time in her life, being different might actually matter to more people than just herself. Alina went to her computer and started recording everything she could about the alien message. She played it over and over, taking notes about the language patterns and the emotional content. While she worked, reports kept coming in from across the galaxy. The Galactic Defense Fleet, the most powerful military force in known space, had turned around and was heading home. Their admiral had sent a message saying they couldn't fight something that scared them so much they couldn't think straight. Trade ships were returning to port. Diplomatic missions were being canceled. The entire galaxy was basically shutting down because of one alien message. But Alina kept working. She analyzed the sound patterns and realized something important. The alien wasn't just trying to scare people, she was trying to communicate. There were complex ideas hidden in the message, information about technology, and culture that could change everything humans knew about the universe. Elena's supervisor, Dr. Chin, finally made it to the communications room. He was an older man who had been like a father to Elena since she started working on the Horizon. He was trying to look brave, but Elena could see the fear in his eyes. "Alina, we need to evacuate," he said. "The entire sector is being abandoned. No one can function with these messages being broadcast." "But this is incredible," Alina replied. "Dr. Chen, this alien is sharing information about advanced technology. Look at these patterns." She showed him her computer screen, pointing to the data she had collected. Dr. Chen looked at the screen, but his hands were shaking too much to focus. Alina, I know you're excited about this, but we have to think about safety. This creature has basically paralyzed the entire galaxy. We need to get as far away as possible. Lena looked at her mentor with surprise. Dr. Chen had always taught her that scientific discovery was worth taking risks. He had spent his whole career studying dangerous alien environments and strange life forms. But now he was ready to run away from the most important discovery in human history. That's when Alina realized something that would change everything. She wasn't just immune to the aliens' fear-inducing messages. She might be the only person in the galaxy who could actually communicate with this creature. Dr. Chen, she said, slowly, what if I volunteered to make contact? Dr. Chen stared at her like she had suggested jumping into a black hole. Lena, that's impossible. You're a scientist, not a soldier. You study microorganisms and plant samples. You've never even been in a dangerous situation. Exactly, Alina said. Wait. I'm not a threat. I'm just curious. Maybe that's what this alien needs to see. While they talked, more reports came in. The alien, who called herself the Queen, had sent another message. This time she was asking why no one would come to meet her. She seemed frustrated, even angry. The fear-inducing effects of her broadcasts were getting stronger. Lena made a decision that would change her life forever. She walked over to the communications console and picked up the transmitter. Before Dr. Chen could stop her, she pressed the button to send a message. This is Dr. Alina Vasquez of the research vessel Horizon, she said into the microphone. Received your message, and I would like to meet you. The response came immediately. The Queen's voice filled the room, but this time it was different. Instead of the terrifying presence that had paralyzed billions of people, Alina heard something else. Surprise. And maybe, just maybe, hope. You are not afraid, the Queen said. It wasn't a question. No, Alina replied. I'm curious. That simple exchange would be remembered as the moment everything changed. While the rest of the galaxy ran in fear, one human scientist had done something no one thought possible. She had started a conversation. Chat controls Sonnet 4. Alina stared at the small ship that would carry her into the unknown. The Curiosity was nothing special to look at. It was designed for research missions, not heroic journeys. But right now, it was the only thing standing between the galaxy and complete chaos. 3 days had passed since her first conversation with the Queen, 3 days of meetings with nervous officials who couldn't look Alina in the eye without shaking. They all wanted her to go, but none of them wanted to be responsible for sending her. Are you sure about this? Dr. Chen asked for the 100th time. He was helping her load supplies into the ship, but his movements were slow and reluctant. There's still time to change your mind. Lena checked her equipment one more time. She had packed everything she might need for studying an alien life form. Cameras, recording devices, sample containers, and her lucky notebook that she had carried. Since college, I'm sure, she said. Someone has to do this. The truth was, Alina was more excited than scared. Her whole life she had dreamed of meeting an alien species. Now that dream was about to come true, even if the circumstances were terrifying for everyone else. The launch was quiet. No crowds, no media, no fanfare. Just Alina, alone in her ship, heading toward the most dangerous creature the galaxy had ever known. As the Curiosity pulled away from the horizon, Alina felt a strange mix of loneliness and anticipation. The first few hours of travel were peaceful. Alina used the time to study everything she could about the Queen's messages. She played the recordings over and over, trying to understand the patterns. Each time she listened, she noticed something new. The Queen wasn't just communicating in words. She was sharing emotions, memories, and images. Then Alina saw her first sign of how serious the situation really was. Floating in the darkness, ahead was the wreckage of a military destroyer. The ship was enormous, designed to carry thousands of crew members. But it was empty now, drifting like a ghost in space. Alina flew closer and saw that the ship wasn't damaged. The crew had simply abandoned it. Computer, Scanned for life signs, Elena said. No life signs detected, the ship's computer replied. The vessel appears to have been evacuated in haste. Lena flew past the destroyer and found another ship. Another. Soon she was traveling through a graveyard of abandoned vessels. Military ships, cargo haulers, passenger liners, all empty. All left behind by crews too frightened to stay. She stopped to investigate one of the ships, a small courier vessel that should have had a crew of 5. Lena put on her spacesuit and floated over to the abandoned ship. The airlock was still open, and she could see personal belongings scattered around the corridors. Photos of families, books, someone's favorite coffee mug, all left behind in the rush to escape. Elena found the ship's log and played the final entry. The captain's voice was shaking as he spoke. We can't take it anymore. The dreams are getting worse. Every time we try to sleep, we see those crystal cities and feel like we're drowning in fear. We're taking the escape pods and heading back to Earth. God help whoever tries to face that thing. Elena turned off the recording and looked around the empty ship. She tried to imagine what it would be like to be so afraid that you would abandon everything you owned just to get away. She couldn't understand it, but she felt sorry for the people who had been through it. As Elena continued her journey, she started receiving stronger transmissions from the Queen. The messages were becoming more complex, more personal. Instead of just announcements about joining her empire, the Queen was sharing memories. Elena saw images of a beautiful world covered in crystal forests. She saw creatures that looked like living jewels, building cities that grew like plants. She watched as these beings lived in perfect harmony. Their thoughts connected in ways that humans could barely imagine. But there was something else in the memories. Sadness so deep it made Elena's heart ache. She began to understand that the Queen wasn't just showing her a perfect world. She was showing her a world that no longer existed. Why are you showing me this? Lena asked during one of their communication sessions. The Queen's response came not in words but in feelings. Lena felt an overwhelming sense of loss, of being the only one left, of searching for something that could never be found. It was like being the last person alive in the universe. Elena realized something that changed everything. The Queen wasn't conquering worlds because she was evil. She was searching for something. Someone who could understand her pain. You're alone, Elena said softly. You're the only one left of your kind. The Queen's response was immediate and powerful. Elena felt a wave of emotion so strong it made her cry. It was confirmation, relief, and desperate hope, all mixed together. Yes, the Queen finally said, I am alone. I had been alone for so long that I had forgotten what it felt like to be understood. Lena wiped away her tears and looked at the navigation display. She was still days away from reaching the Queen's ship, but already she felt like she was beginning to understand this mysterious creature. The Queen wasn't a monster. She was just someone who had lost everything and was trying to find a way to go on. I'm coming to see you, Elena said. We can talk more when I get there. Others have tried, the Queen replied. They all turned away when they felt my presence. They could not bear to come closer. I'm different, Elena said. I don't. Feel afraid of you? Why? The Queen asked. Why are you not afraid? Elena thought about the question. She had been asking herself the same thing since this all started. I think, she said slowly, it's because I know what it's like to be different. To be the only one who sees the world in a certain way. The Queen was quiet for a long time. She finally spoke. Her voice was softer than Elena had ever heard it. You understand loneliness? Yes, Elena said. I do. As the Curiosity continued its journey through the ship graveyard, Elena felt something she had never experienced before. She felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be, doing exactly what she was meant to do. For the first time in her life. Being different wasn't just okay, it was necessary. The Queen had been searching the galaxy for someone who could understand her. Elena had been searching her whole life for a place where she belonged. Maybe, just maybe, they had found each other. Elena's hands trembled as she stared at the massive shape ahead of her. The Queen's ship was unlike anything she had ever imagined. It wasn't built like human ships with metal and straight lines. Instead, it looked alive. The surface pulsed with a gentle rhythm like a heartbeat. Veins of light ran across its dark surface, and Alina could swear she saw it breathing. "It's beautiful," she whispered to herself. The ship was enormous. Lena's computer calculated that it was roughly the size of Earth's moon. How something so large could move through space was beyond her understanding. But there it was, floating gracefully among the stars like a sleeping giant. "I have arrived," Alina broadcast to the Queen. "Your ship is incredible. A dock at the opening near the center," the Queen replied. "Be warned, small one. Many who have come this far have fled when they felt my true presence," Lena guided the Curiosity toward the docking area. As she got closer, she could see that the opening was actually a living opening that dilated to allow her ship inside. The walls of the docking bay were covered in a soft, bioluminescent material that glowed with warm light. When Alina stepped out of her ship, she was amazed to find that she could breathe normally. The air was clean and fresh, with a faint floral scent that reminded her of spring mornings on Earth. Her footsteps echoed softly as she walked across the organic floor. "Follow the lighted path," the Queen's voice echoed around her. "Do not be afraid of what you see." Lena walked down a corridor that seemed to grow and change as she moved. The walls were covered in what looked like living murals. Images flowed across the surfaces, showing scenes of crystal cities, flying creatures, and beings that sparkled like diamonds. It was like walking through someone's memories. The path led her to a massive chamber at the heart of the ship. Alina gasped when she entered. The room was filled with monuments made of living crystal. Each one was different, but all were beautiful. Some looked like trees, others like flowers, and still others like abstract art that seemed to dance in the light. "These are memorials," the Queen said. "Each one represents a life that was lost." Alina walked among the crystal monuments, touching them gently. They were warm to the touch and seemed to hum with energy. "How many?" she asked. "Billions," the Queen replied. "My entire species, my entire world." At the center of the chamber stood a throne made of the same living crystal. It was beautiful, but somehow sad, like a flower that had lost its petals. And sitting on that throne was the Queen herself. Alina had prepared herself for this moment, but seeing the Queen in person was still overwhelming. She was tall, at least 9 feet, with skin that looked like polished obsidian. Her body was covered in natural armor that gleamed with different colors depending on how the light hit it. But it was her eyes that caught Alina's attention. Queen had 6 eyes arranged in pairs, and they were the most expressive eyes Alina had ever seen. "You are not running," the Queen observed. Her voice was deep and melodious, like distant thunder mixed with music. "No," Alina replied. "I'm not running." "Why not?" the Queen asked. "I can sense your thoughts. You find my appearance strange, perhaps even disturbing." Alina considered the question honestly. "You are different from me," she said. "But different isn't the same as dangerous. You're beautiful in your own way." The Queen's eyes widened with surprise. "Beautiful? Oh, no one has ever called me beautiful, and they weren't looking hard enough," Alina said. She walked closer to the throne, studying the Queen with scientific curiosity. "May I ask you some questions?" "Questions?" The Queen seemed confused. "Most who come here either flee or demand that I surrender." "I'm not most people," Alina said. With a smile, "I'm a scientist. I study life forms, and you're the most fascinating life form I've ever encountered." For the first time since Alina had arrived, the Queen smiled. It was a strange expression on her alien features, but it was unmistakably genuine. "Ask your questions, small scientist." Alina pulled out her notebook and pen. "First, how does your ship work? It seems to be alive." "It is alive," the Queen said. "It was grown, not built. My people created living ships that could heal themselves and adapt to any environment." "Incredible," Alina muttered, writing furiously. "And these crystals, are they some kind of technology?" "They are memory keepers," the Queen explained. "Each crystal holds the essence of one of my people. Their thoughts, their dreams, their knowledge. I carry them with me so they will not be forgotten." Alina looked around the chamber with new understanding. This wasn't just a throne room. It was a memorial to an entire civilization. "What happened to them?" The Queen's expression darkened. Fear, she said simply, a plague of fear that spread. Through our connected minds, we were so linked to each other that when one felt terror, we all felt it. The fear grew and grew until it consumed us all. But you survived, Alina pointed out. I was different, the Queen said. I was born with the ability to project fear instead of absorbing it. It saved me, but it also made me alone. Alina felt a chill of understanding. The fear you project, you can't control it. I have learned to control it over the centuries, the Queen said. But it is always there, like a shield I cannot remove. Keeps others away, protects me from being hurt again. But it also keeps you from connecting with anyone, Alina realized. The Queen nodded sadly. For 700 years, I have searched the galaxy for someone who could withstand my presence. Someone who could see past the fear and understand who I really am. Closed her notebook and looked directly at the Queen. I understand loneliness, she said. I've felt different my whole life. People avoided me because they thought I was strange. But you know what I learned? What? The Queen asked. Being different isn't a curse, it's a gift. It lets you see things others can't see, understand things others can't understand. The Queen was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. I have been so alone, I know, Alina said gently. But you're not alone. Anymore. The Queen stood up from her throne and walked toward Alina. Up close. She was even more impressive, but Alina didn't feel afraid. Instead, she felt honored to be in the presence of such a magnificent being. Your ship, Alina said suddenly. It's in pain, isn't it? The Queen stopped walking. How did you know? I can feel it, Alina said. The way it pulses, the way that lights flicker. It's sick. Yes, the Queen admitted. My ship is dying. When it dies, I will die with it. We are connected, as all my people were connected to their ships. Alina felt a surge of determination. Then we need to help it. We need to heal it. Impossible, the Queen said. Only my people knew how to heal the living ships, and they are gone, maybe, Alina said. But I'm a scientist. I study life forms. If your ship is alive, then maybe I can figure out how to help it. The Queen stared at Alina with all 6 eyes. You would do that for me, of course, Alina said. That's what friends do. The word hung in the air between them. Friends? It was such a simple word. But Alina could see what it meant to the Queen. After 700 years of loneliness, someone was offering friendship. I have not had a friend in so long, the Queen said softly. I had almost forgotten what it felt like. Well, Alina said with a smile, you have one now? Alina spent the next 3 days living aboard the Queen's ship, and every hour brought new discoveries. The Queen, whose real name was Zixthera, showed Alina through chambers filled with wonders that human science had never imagined. There were gardens where plants grew in impossible colors, libraries where knowledge was stored in living crystals, and workshops where tools shaped themselves to fit their users' needs. But Alina's favorite place was the Queen's private study. It was a quiet room filled with floating displays that showed star maps, planetary systems, and the histories of 1,000 different worlds. Here, Zixthera would sit and tell Alina stories about her people and their incredible civilization. We're gardeners of the galaxy, Zixthera explained, gesturing to a display showing her home world. We didn't conquer planets. We helped them grow. We would find worlds that were struggling and teach them how to thrive. Alina watched the images. With fascination, she saw the Queen's people working alongside other species, sharing technology and knowledge. They looked like living jewels, their crystal-like bodies reflecting light in beautiful patterns. You were explorers and teachers, Alina said. Yes, Zixthera said sadly. We believed that all life was precious. We thought our gift of mental connection would help us understand any species we met. She paused, her 6 eyes dimming. We were wrong. Alina had been studying the Queen's biology for days, trying to understand how her fear projection ability worked. Tell me about the plague, she said gently. Zixthera was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, Her voice was heavy with old pain. "It started small. One of our explorers encountered a species that lived in pure terror. It evolved on a world where everything was dangerous. Fear was their survival mechanism." "And when your explorer connected with them mentally," Alina asked. "The fear transferred," Zixthera said. "But it was unlike anything we had ever experienced. This wasn't normal caution or concern. This was absolute, overwhelming terror. And because we were all connected, it spread through our entire population like a virus." Alina began to understand. "Your mental connection, which was supposed to be a gift, became a weakness." "Exactly," Zixthera said. "Within days, our entire civilization was paralyzed by fear. People couldn't work, couldn't eat, couldn't even sleep without nightmares, and the fear kept growing stronger." "How did you survive?" Lena asked. Zixthera's expression became even sadder. "I was born different. Instead of absorbing emotions from others, I projected them. When the fear plague hit, I instinctively pushed it away from myself, but in doing so I made it stronger for everyone else." Alina felt her heart break for her new friend. "Blame yourself. I killed my entire species," Zixthera said quietly. "In trying to save myself, I made their suffering worse. I watched them all die, driven mad by fear that I had amplified." "Not true," Alina said firmly. "You were just trying to survive. Anyone would have done the same thing, would they?" Zixthera asked. "I could have chosen to die with them. Instead, I chose to live. And I've spent 700 years searching for someone who could understand what I did." Alina stood up and walked over to the queen, even sitting down. Zixthera was taller than Alina, but Alina reached up and placed her hand on the queen's arm. "You survived because you were meant to survive. Your people's knowledge, their culture, their dreams, all of that would have died with them if you hadn't lived." "But I'm alone," Zixthera said. "I carry their memories, but I can't share them. No one else can withstand my presence long enough to learn from them." "I can," Alina said. "I'm here and I'm not going anywhere." Zixthera looked at Alina with wonder. "How are you not afraid of me? Others flee before they even see me." Alina thought about it. "I think it's because I understand what it's like to be different. When I was a child, other kids avoided me because I didn't react to things the way they did. I didn't get scared by movies or stories that terrified them. I felt isolated and alone." "But you found your place," Zixthera observed. Eventually, Alina said, "I learned that being different gave me advantages. I could think clearly in situations where others panicked. I could study dangerous things without being overwhelmed by fear. My difference became my strength." "Your difference is why you can be here with me now," Zixthera realized. "Exactly," Alina said. "And your difference, your ability to survive. When others couldn't, that's why you're still here, to share your people's legacy." Zixthera was quiet for a long time, processing this idea. "I never thought of it that way," she said finally. Alina smiled. "That's what friends are for, to help you see yourself differently." Over the following days, Alina learned more about the Queen's true mission. Zixthera hadn't been terrorizing the galaxy out of malice. She had been searching for someone strong enough to receive her people's knowledge and carry it forward. "All those worlds you visited," Alina said, "you were trying to find someone who could handle your presence?" "I was testing them," Zixthera admitted. "I would send my fear ahead of me, hoping to find someone who could resist it. But everyone always ran away." "Until now," Alina said. "Until now," Zixthera agreed. "Alina, my people knew secrets that could help the galaxy. Medical knowledge that could cure diseases, agricultural techniques that could feed starving worlds, technology that could bring peace between warring species." Alina felt excitement building in her chest. "You want to share all of that?" "I want to teach," Zixthera said. "That's what my people did. We were teachers and healers. I've been a frightening presence for so long that I had almost forgotten that was my true nature." "So let's change that," Alina said. "Let's figure out how to share your knowledge without scaring people away." "Is that possible?" Zixthera asked hopefully. Alina grinned. "I'm a scientist. Making the impossible possible is what I do." Talked Alina noticed something interesting. The ship around them seemed to be responding to their conversation. The lights were brighter, the walls pulsed with more energy, and the air felt fresher. Zixthera, Alina said. I think your ship is getting better? The queen looked around in amazement. You're right. Can feel it. The ship is responding to something it hasn't felt in centuries. What? Alina asked. Hope, Zixthera said softly. My ship is feeling hope. Alina realized that everything was connected. The queen's loneliness had been slowly killing her ship. But now, with friendship and hope returning to Zixthera's life, the ship was beginning to heal. We're going to change everything, Alina said with certainty. Together? Zixthera asked. Together, Alina confirmed. For the first time in 700 years, the queen smiled with genuine happiness. And throughout the ship, crystal displays began to glow brighter, showing visions of a future where knowledge was shared freely and fear was replaced by understanding. 6 months after Alina first stepped aboard Zixthera's ship, the galaxy was a completely different place. The change started small, with a simple message that Alina helped the queen broadcast to every world and known space.
My name is Zixthera.
The message began. I am the last of my people, and I have something to offer you. Not conquest, not fear, but knowledge. I invite you to come and learn. The first visitors were scientists like Alina. Dr. Chen arrived 3 weeks after the broadcast. Still nervous, but curious enough to overcome his fear. Behind him came researchers from 12 different worlds, all drawn by Alina's reports of incredible discoveries. Alina watched from the observation deck as their ships docked with Zixthera's vessel. The queen had learned to control her fear projection, completely keeping it contained so visitors could approach safely. She had even modified parts of her ship to make different species feel comfortable. Are you nervous? Alina asked as they prepared to greet the first delegation. Zixthera adjusted the flowing robe she now wore instead of her intimidating armor. Terrified, she admitted, What if they don't like what I have to teach? What if they think I'm still a monster? They won't, Alina assured her. You're going to be amazing. The first meeting took place in what Zixthera called the Hall of Sharing. She had grown the chamber specifically for these encounters, with comfortable seating for dozens of different body types and atmospheric trolls that could accommodate any species. Dr. Chen was the first to speak. Your Majesty, he began formally. Please, Zixthera interrupted gently. Call me Zixthera. I am not here to rule anyone. I am here to teach. What followed was the most incredible presentation Alina had ever witnessed. Zixthera shared medical knowledge that could cure diseases that had plagued the galaxy for centuries. She showed agricultural techniques that could turn barren worlds into gardens. She demonstrated technology that could clean polluted atmospheres and purify poisoned water. But the most amazing thing was watching the queen herself. Gone was the terrifying figure who had once paralyzed entire fleets. In her place stood a patient teacher who answered every question with enthusiasm and care. How is this possible? Asked Dr. Rivera, a biologist from the Outer Rim territories. She was studying a plant that Zixthera had grown from memory, a species that had been extinct for thousands of years. My people believe that all knowledge belongs to everyone, Zixthera explained. We never hoarded our discoveries. We shared them freely because we knew that when one species thrives, all species benefit. Alina felt proud watching her friend in action. This was who Zixthera really was underneath all that fear and loneliness. She was a natural teacher, patient, and wise and eager to help others learn. The transformation of the queen's ship was remarkable too. What had once been a dying vessel now pulsed with vibrant life. New chambers grew daily to accommodate different research projects. Gardens bloomed in impossible colors. The Crystal Memorial Chamber had been expanded into a beautiful museum, where visitors could learn about the Queen's lost civilization. But the most significant change happened when the first children arrived. A family of colonists from New Terra brought their young daughter Lily when they came to learn about improved farming techniques. While her parents attended lectures, 8-year-old Lily wandered into the memorial chamber and stood staring up at the crystal monuments. Alina found her there, reaching up to touch one of the smaller crystals. They're pretty, Lily said. Oh, do they sing? They hold memories, Alina explained. Would you like to meet the person who made them? When Alina brought Lily to meet Zixthera, something magical happened. The child showed no fear at all. She looked up at the 9-foot-tall alien with 6 eyes and said, "You're really tall. Can you pick me up?" Zixthera's eyes went wide with surprise. You want me to pick you up? Please, Lily said, raising her arms. With infinite gentleness, Zixthera lifted the little girl up to her eye level. What's your name, small one? Lily, the girl replied. What's yours? Lena said, you have a really long name. Zixthera. The queen said slowly. That's hard to say, Lily declared. Can I call you Zix? Alina watched as tears formed in the queen's eyes. Yes, she whispered. You can call me Zix. From that day forward, Zixthera insisted that all visiting families bring their children. She created a special learning center just for young people, where they could play with living toys and learn about science through games. The children, unburdened by adult fears and prejudices, took to the alien queen immediately. Elena's favorite moment came when she found Zixthera reading stories too. A group of children from 6 different species. The queen had learned to modulate her voice to be soothing instead of intimidating, and the children hung on every word. Tell us about the Crystal Gardens again, requested Tommy. It's the same radio operator who had once been terrified of the queens. Broadcasts. Once upon a time, Zixthera began, there was a world where plants grew like jewels and sang songs that could heal broken hearts. Alina stepped back and smiled. This was how the galaxy was supposed to work. Different species coming together, sharing knowledge, learning from each other. Queen's ship had become a symbol of cooperation instead of conquest. The changes weren't limited to the ship either. Worlds that had been at war for generations started talking to each other after learning Zixthera's conflict resolution techniques. Planets suffering from environmental disasters were healed using the Queen's ecological restoration methods. Diseases that had claimed millions of lives were cured using medical knowledge preserved in crystal memory banks. Elena's own life had changed dramatically too. She was now the galaxy's first official interspecies communication specialist, helping establish protocols for peaceful first contact with new civilizations. She had written 3 books about her experiences with Zixthera, and universities across the galaxy invited her to speak about the importance of looking beyond surface differences. But her favorite job was still being Zixthera's friend. One evening, as they sat together watching the stars through the ship's main viewport, the queen asked Alina a question that had been bothering her. Do you ever regret coming here? Zixthera asked. She could have had a safe, normal life. Instead, you chose to befriend a monster. Alina looked at her friend with affection. First of all, you were never a monster. You were just hurt and alone. Second, I wouldn't trade this experience for anything. You've shown me wonders I never dreamed existed. And you showed me that I didn't have to be alone anymore, Zixthera replied. That's what friends do, Alina said. We help each other become the best versions of ourselves. Zixthera smiled, an expression that had become natural and frequent. Over the past months, I've been thinking about expanding our mission. There are so many worlds we haven't visited yet, so many species that could benefit from what we've learned. Our mission? Alina asked with a grin. Of course, Zixthera said. Did you think I was going to let you retire? We have a galaxy to explore, Alina. Together. Alina laughed and looked out at the endless stars. Somewhere out there were civilizations they hadn't met yet, knowledge they hadn't discovered, friendships they hadn't made. The universe was vast and full of possibilities. Together, Alina agreed, and as their ship prepared for the next adventure, Alina reflected on how one moment of curiosity and courage had changed everything. The galaxy no longer lived in fear of the alien queen. Instead, they looked forward to her visits, eager to learn and grow and discover new ways to thrive together. The queen, who had once terrified the galaxy, had become its greatest teacher. And it all started with one human who wasn't afraid to reach out and make a friend.